Well, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Poorboys Little Homestead. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping in. Feel free to drop in anytime you feel, my friends. Guys, today we finna drain and service and drain the filters on the hydraulic system on this bad boy Elite Series zero turn mower here. Now I got my two hydraulic filters, and what you gonna need is a 10mm socket. I always use a oil filter wrench here just to make it a little easier getting the old ones off. And you're going to need a ratchet and 11/16 socket. And this one to get the filler plug. When we start filling it back, you got a plug you got to take out. It's called the vent plug to let the air out when you're filling. Then you're going to need, I always just buy a 5-quart jug. I use 20W50 motor oil. And I know some of you just said, what? Well, right here in this owner's manual, it says you can use 20W50 motor oil, but it says bad boy hydrostatic oil is recommended. Well, this lawnmower here is going on, well, in just a few weeks it'll be 5 years old. And the only thing I've ever put in it is 20W50 motor oil, so apparently it does pretty good. I ain't never had no issues. So let's get started with changing these filters in this oil in the hydrostatic system on this zero turn. So guys, you could jack the back of your lawnmower up, or you could back it up on some ramps, but I don't like doing that because I like mine being on level ground to make sure I get all my oil drained out. Because if you got it jacked up like that, it's going to be oil trapped toward the front that ain't going to drain out the hole. So I lay down on my belly here and do it the hard way, I guess you might want to say. But I'm going to use a different camera on my phone to hold under here to show y'all what I'm doing. Alright guys, so we're going to be going straight up under the back of the lawnmower. And when you look right here to the left, you got 3 screws. That plastic right there is a cover over the filter. You remove that screw right there, screw right here, and there's another screw just like it in front, and you remove that cover. Same thing on the right side. Once we remove that cover, I remove the filter. Filter's just like any other kind of filter. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. And that's where your fluid's gonna drain from. Your axle don't have no drain plug. Your fluid drains from there. Now when we start filling her back up, after we put the new filters on, right up here toward the top, I'm hoping y'all can see it. I don't know, it ain't enough light under there. But right there, where I'm touching with the end of that wrench, right there is 11/16 inch. That's the socket you're going to use for that plug, and you remove that plug. And it's the same thing on the other side. It's right up there. Right there, the end of that wrench. You remove them plugs when you start filling her back up with fluid. And the reason you do that, as you're filling it up, it pushes air out. Then when you get her full, then you put your plugs back in. And then we got a little process we got to go through to make sure the air is bled out of the system. So right now I'm going to be removing the 10mm screws to undo the covers. And like I said, now I don't know how good y'all going to be able to see what I'm doing, but it ain't nothing but removing them screws. Now I could pick this lawnmower up with my front end loader, take these off, set it back down, drain the oil out, pick it back up, put the filters on it and stuff, but I'd just soon lay down here on my side and just do it like this. But you want to put these covers back on here too. So this keeps the sticks or something from jumping up and stabbing a hole through your filter. Then you would run your axle. I guess you call that an axle, gearbox, whatever they want to call it. Hydrostatic gearbox. Alright, we got that one removed. You see all that grass packed in under that filter around that cover. Now I'm going to do this one the same way. Remove it. Alright guys, now I'm going to remove the filter. I didn't even need a wrench. So I loosen that filter. Now I'm finna go get me an oil drain pan and stick right under here. And I'm going to remove the filters and drain the oil. And then at that point, we're going to take them plugs out right here. Alright guys, so I'm finna get my oil pan and slide under there now, but you want to take your tops off of your reservoir tanks here. You got your two reservoir tanks, one on each side. Take your tops off, that way it can get air, so when it drains your fluid out, it'll let it drain all out. So I got me a little plastic tray here to catch the oil in. And I'm finna remove both filters and let it drain. Alright guys, y'all can see the filters is removed and the oil's draining out. And the manual says it's 2 quarts in each side. So now that that's drained, again I'm finna reach right up here. I ain't gonna be able to hold the camera to do it, and I'm finna use 11/16 socket and remove this plug on each side. And that's so when we're filling it up, that'll let the air push up and come out, so it won't be so much air trapped in your transmission. Alright guys, the oil's drained out and I removed the 2 plugs, the vent plugs. Now I'm finna take a rag and wipe around where the filter screws on, and I'm finna screw the new filter on. Now just like any other filter, you always take some of your oil and rub on this gasket. You run it up till it's finger tight. And then you go 3/4 of a round more. You don't put no wrench on an oil filter when you put them on. If you do, then you can't get them back off, or you'll damage them with the wrench putting them on. So you don't never do that. Alright guys, you can see the oil's through draining right there. It's just barely dripping out. Take my rag and wipe that off and make sure it ain't no dirt around it. Take my new oil filter, and I'm going to take some of this oil that's still dripping out on this other side. You rub around that O-ring on that filter. You do this, it don't matter what kind of filter you putting on or what you putting it on. You always do that. Then when you're screwing that filter on, You screw it up till it finger tight bottoms out, and then you go about 3/4 of a turn more. You don't never put a wrench on an oil filter, putting them on, or a fuel filter like this, putting them on. So there's that one, guys. Now I'm finna do the same thing on the other side, and I'm gonna put the covers back on that we removed. And then we'll go up top and start filling her up with fluid. All right, guys, we got the one filter on the left side. Now we finna do the same thing on the right side. Don't forget to put you some oil on your ring, your old ring, around your new filter. Always wipe off where it screws on there to make sure ain't no dirt on there or anything. And we're screwing that filter back on. Now next, guys, while I'm on this side, I'm going to put my little cover back over this filter with the 3 screws that come out of it. Alright, guys, next, your reservoirs right here, one on each side. This one's for the right side, and of course this one's for the left. But down on the very bottom, it's got a mark on it. But right down on the bottom, where my finger's at, it says cold mark. Full cold. So we're going to put, and it says in the manual, approximately 2 quarts on each side, but we're going to stop when we get to that mark. But after we get it to that mark there, on both sides, we'll put the lids back on the reservoir, and then we got to jack the back end up to get the wheels off the ground. Then I'll show y'all what we got to do next to get the air out of the line. And of course, that's after we put the plugs, vent plugs back in. Y'all don't let me forget to put them vent plugs back in. So if you're wondering why I'm using 20W50 motor oil and didn't go back with the bad boy hydraulic fluid oil, it's cause the first time I done this, my local town ain't got nowhere that sells bad boy motors. And I wasn't driving no hour when the manual says I could use 20W50 motor oil, so that's what I've always used. Now this takes a while to fill this back up because it has to drain down through that little bitty hose. So I just fill the reservoir up. Then I go fix me a cup of coffee or whatever, and as it drains down into your transaxle casings, transfer cases, whatever you want to call them, I keep it topped off until it stops draining. And when I get to about 4 quarts on here, then I know that it's pretty much this full mark. So this is going to take a little while, so I'll get back with y'all. Because like I said, it takes a while for it to drain down because it's going through just a little bitty hose from up here all the way down to your axles. Alright guys, we're slowly getting there. We're about 1 more quart to go. Like I said, all you can do is keep topping the reservoir off and just let it slowly drain down. You can't speed this process up. And when I get down to where I know I got 1 quart left in that jug, I'll put my vent plugs back in. Alright guys, now we got 2 quarts in each side, and I'm waiting on it to drain down. I just looked under there and there ain't no oil coming out the vent hose yet. But by the time this drain out, there'll be some little oil coming out the vent hole. And when we'll put the plugs back in. And right now, there's oil starting to come out the left one, so I'm finna put the plug in. Alright guys, the vent plugs is in. We're finna put the tops back on our reservoirs. And they still above the little full mark. Now here's the part where you got to bleed the air out of your lines. Now again, I'm going to use my other camera so I can show y'all under here, but it's on each side. It has a little rod here that you pull the pin and you pull that handle rod back. Put your pin back in it and hold them back. And then we're going to crank the lawnmower and we're going to have to move our levers forward slowly and back slowly. You do that about 6 times. And then you come back and you push these rods back in, and then you try to mow, and if everything's doing good, you're fine. But if it ain't acting like it's wanting to go right, it still has air, and you come back and you do that again. But to do this, we got to jack the back end off the ground so the wheels is free flowing. So before we raise the back end off the ground, I'm going to go on and pull my pins. So again guys, we looking straight under the back of the lawnmower. You can see right here is a pin, but it has a Carter pin in here. You pull that pin and you pull that rod back, and then you put that pin in that hole to keep it from going back forward. You do that on both sides. Now guys, we're going to pick the back of the lawnmower off the ground, and we're going to crank it up and work our levers slowly forward and backwards 6 times. Now this little easy lift ain't made for picking up lawnmowers, but it says it'll pick up 300 pounds, and I know the back of this lawnmower don't weigh 300 pounds. And all we got to do is get it up high enough that the wheels is off the ground just a little bit, and that's right there. So now we're going to crank the lawnmower, and we're going to work our levers slowly forward at the same time, slowly backwards all the way. There's 1. 2. 3. Now what I like doing is idling my lawnmower up for the last 3. Now you kill your lawnmower, put your pins back in, your rods, let your lawnmower down, and you give her a test drive. So we're going to put her rods back in, and when you do this, make sure to push them all the way in and get your Carter key back in the hole, and that keeps them from ever coming out. So now we're going to let her jack down. This jack, guys, I got a review video on it, and I'll try to attach above in case you want to go back and check out this jack, what all it's good for. But at this point, you want to look at your reservoir tanks and make sure your fluid is still up to your full coal line, and mine is. It's about a 1/4 inch above it, but that's good enough. That's where it's always been from the time I've got it, just a little bit above the coal line. But now we're going to crank her up and we're going to see how she goes. As y'all can see, the left side's working, but the right side ain't. So I'm finna jack it back up, pull them rods out, crank it back up, and work my levers again. Probably gonna do it more than 6 times this time. Now we're gonna try her again. Now I'm gonna put my rods back in, but instead of putting it on the ground, I'm gonna leave it jacked up and try it again. Try it, see if the tires move. All right, let's see. Well, my tires is working raised up in the air, so let's let her jack out from under and try her again. If it don't do it, we'll do it a 3rd time. Been so long since I've done it, I can't remember how many times it took me bleeding to. Last time I changed the fluid in it. I know I just stepped in the oil I drained, sloshed my drain pan out on my foot. Let's see if we'll go anywhere this time. Oh, there we go. Well, guys, that's how you do it. If you ain't never changed your own hydraulic fluid in your zero-turn mower, especially your Bad Boy Elite series, that's how you do it. I hope this video helps someone out. If it does, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't never subscribed, please subscribe. Share my videos. Guys, sharing my videos is the best way you can help me on my YouTube channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a great day. God bless. See y'all next time.